know, as you may or may not know, the Philadelphia Eagles traded Carson Wentz to the Colts for like a second round conditional pick that could turn into a first round pick depending on what Carson Wentz does and if he starts 70 or 75% of the games. And also, I believe, a second round pick. It was a decent trade. However, the main news was, of course, Carson Wentz getting traded to Indianapolis. And that's what we're going to get into today. I'm really going to get into what led Carson Wentz to not only leaving Philadelphia, but what also led to him going and reuniting with his former offensive coordinator, Frank Reich, in Indianapolis. But of course, before we get right into the video, make sure to like and subscribe. All that's going to be up here. Make sure to also turn on that notification bell. You guys help me out a little bit. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now, it seems like things got really, really ugly in Carson Wentz's locker room, or as you can say, the Eagles' locker room, because according to this, he was losing popularity in the locker room fast. This article states that to give you an idea on how ugly things got, it seems that at one point Carson Wentz and head coach Doug Peterson did not talk for up to 2 months at a time. That's 8 NFL weeks. That's 8 games where your head coach and quarterback have no communication. And I'm going to get way more into this in a second, but I just want to say that it seems like Carson Wentz really, really lost respect not only with his players, but also with a lot of his coaches. As you guys may know, Carson Wentz ended up traded and Doug Peterson ended up fired shortly after the season. Then, of course, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, this is very normal when we're talking about maybe a high school player and a coach. A high school player and a coach, they can have disagreements. You know, they can afford not to speak because it's high school. It's not the NFL where you're making real money and participating in real business. Of course, Adam Schefter stated that this is normal the silent treatment is normal for somebody in high school with their coach, but the silent treatment is not normal with somebody in not college, the NFL, especially when you're talking about a starting quarterback who's supposed to be your centerpiece of the team and somebody who's supposed to basically lead your team to success. Like, it's not normal for an NFL quarterback and an NFL head coach to not talk at all for 8 weeks of the NFL season. Nearly half of the season, these two did not have any conversation when it came to practice and maybe not even games. Then, of course, Philadelphia, it seems like Carson Wentz felt a little jilted when they drafted Jalen Hurts. Of course, Carson Wentz dealing with injury problems his last previous seasons. Philadelphia, according again to Adam Schefter, Philadelphia wanted to draft some insurance. They wanted to know that at least we have this guy in our back pocket. If all doesn't go well, Carson Wentz, let's say he gets injured, then we have Jalen Hurts, one of the more talented quarterbacks, coming to our team in the draft. And of course, it seems like that, again, after that, Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson did not talk for a few weeks. So, inferring this, it's indicating that Carson Wentz did not quite like how Doug Peterson was approaching the situation and maybe thought that Doug Peterson has something to do with the drafting of the Oklahoma quarterback in the second round of the draft. A very, very high pick to select a quarterback, by the way. And then, of course, another thing Schefter did not mention was how this silent treatment played out. It's only possible that they were probably talking to each other on game day, but didn't they talk in practice? Did they talk during the week? Did they talk in film? None of that we really, really know. But then they say that teammates and players, and also, a lot of, Adam Schefter, a lot of analysts said that it got really, really bad after week 13, after Carson Wentz was benched in favor of Jalen Hurts, the guy that they drafted. They say that's when things got serious. That's when things got really ugly between Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson. And then, of course, the most unheard of thing, it now makes way, way more sense while both of these guys are no longer in Philadelphia. It makes a lot more sense because, according to Adam Schefter, according to a lot of teammates, these guys did not have the best relationship, especially after the drafting of quarterback Jalen Hurts in the second round. Going on a little rebuttal on it, basically, they didn't speak for 2 months at a time, which is insane, talking about an NFL quarterback and an NFL head coach. And now, basically, this article wraps up with looking at the rest of this information, looking at all this information. It might have been surprising to some people, but when you really dig deep, it's not surprising to say and to see that these two players are no longer in Philadelphia as of right now. And then Sports NFL insider Jason La Canfora, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Well, it was reported on Friday that Carson Wentz had been falling out of favor in the locker room. Basically, this states that Carson Wentz was falling out of favor of his teammates. The locker room no longer respected him, and that's why he basically blew up in the locker room. Like, he did not feel respected. He didn't feel like the number one QB. And when you have that feeling, you get a lot of disorganization. And we saw the complete and utter example of disorganization in the last game of the season, where not only Carson Wentz was benched, but even Jalen Hurts was benched for a third string unheard of quarterback. This is what this kind of inability to make a decision, I'm going to call it, this kind of inability to make a decision with the quarterback position, this is what it causes right here. Because Carson Wentz, the locker room didn't like him. Jalen Hurts, the locker room maybe liked him. But at the end of the day, he is a rookie in the NFL. Like, how do you think the wide receivers, how do you think the line, how do you think everybody's going to respond on a football team when a rookie is taking place of the guy you've been with for years? Like, Carson Wentz has been that quarterback for years, and now you have to completely adapt to a rookie. Then on the last game of the season, everyone's probably like, okay, first, it seems like they were purposely losing to maintain a higher draft pick, which, of course, the players are not going to like. And also, why in the world are you putting, a third-string quarterback in the game in the last game of the season? Like, that made no sense at all. And then, of course, it seems like Wentz, he was most stemmed when, once again, they drafted Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, it seems like this guy really, really blew up after Jalen Hurts got drafted. It seems like Carson Wentz did not like this at all. And while it is understandable, if you want to be a leader of the team, this is the part where you have to really play with a chip on your shoulder. Carson Wentz did not play with a chip in his shoulder. And of course, a lot of you know this, but nearly 8 months after the draft, things hit rock bottom with Carson Wentz after being benched for Jalen Hurts and starting 3-8-1 in 2020. So basically, this whole meltdown triggered this. A 3-8 start with one of the more talented teams in the NFL. 3-8 start with Carson Wentz. And of course, you guys know all of the things. And even LaKenfora, aka the last name of one of the NFL analysts, I said it before, but one of the last names of the NFL analyst, an NFL analyst reported that in December that Wentz knew a trade was coming after he got benched. Everybody knew that the trade was coming after Carson Wentz got benched. And it also was reported that Carson Wentz did not take the benching well at all. He did not like it. He hated the fact that he was benched in favor of a rookie quarterback. And can you really blame the guy? He was probably told that he was the number one no matter what. Probably told that by his head coach, his manager, his GM, whatever. However, that obviously did not pan out. And of course, there were a lot of debates. And it started with Doug Peterson saying that both Carson Wentz and him were going to be in Philly for the 2021 season, that their relationship was great. It says that Carson Wentz's relationship with Doug Peterson was really, really good, according to Doug Peterson. And, of course, 3 weeks after that, Doug Peterson was fired. Yeah, good job, Doug. You really, really sold the bag right there. Doug Peterson, of course, he was fired. Carson Wentz was shipped out. And Philadelphia is actually going to take the biggest dead cap hit in NFL history. So, good job, Indiana. You got a very, very good quarterback, and you won't have to pay a single dime for him because Philadelphia is going to be paying every single bit of that $33.8 million contract. And then, of course, Carson Wentz this season did not have a very, very great year. He had 16 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, and, of course, just above 2,600 yards with a 72.8 rating, the lowest of his career. And now for the big part, reacting to the trade. For my little rebuttal, Carson Wentz is now reunited with his offensive coordinator, Frank Reich, and you might want to open your ears here, folks, because this offensive coordinator was the same guy that the Eagles had after they had that 13-3 season, won the Super Bowl, and of course Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate. So you really, really have to think that this could be a very, very, very good trade here. But for my little rebuttal, if you want a little short, condensed version of the information, this is the part of the video for you. Of course, Carson Wentz, basically, the relationship was terrible. They would go months. Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson would go months without talking to each other. They went 2 months without talking to each other, as reported by players and analysts. And of course, this was just a whole horrible situation. It seemingly all started with the drafting of Jalen Hurts. And of course, I think Carson Wentz was a mentally defeated quarterback, because you see your backup, a guy who was supposed to be your backup, win a Super Bowl with your guys and your team in the locker room. And then, of course, you see your team that you trusted, that said that they could trust you. They are going to trust you running the show. You see your team, and then they turn around and draft a quarterback in the second round for quote-unquote insurance, as NFL analysts said. So I think Carson Wentz was simply mentally defeated. I think the trade was good for both teams. You get Carson Wentz out of there, get all that drama out of the locker room. You can really focus if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. And for Carson Wentz, this is a brand new start. Brand new team. This team, obviously, they really like him. Of course, they're really, really roasting him too. I mean, they said it was pretty funny. They said that Carson Wentz, of course, texted like a NBA 2K My Player or whatever. You know, if you play 2K, you get the joke. But it's up on the screen for you just in case you want to see it. But, however, thank you for watching or listening, depending if you're on my podcast or on my YouTube. Of course, all the links are going to be in the description. I'm on Spotify. I'm on iHeartRadio. I'm on all of that. So all the links are going to be in the description. Thank you for watching. You guys stay loved and stay blessed.